Has provided their listeners since 1996. Vibes and vinyl in your face.
Every Friday, take a trip around the world with music from around the globe. Colors of Rhythm with your host DJ Ron John. Fridays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on iLive Radio, iliveradio.com.
From the moment God took woman out of man, we both have been trying to find our way back to each other. Yet the struggle we face seems monumental in nature. Are we destined to sit on the opposite sides of the coin we call humanity? Can the age-old question that separates us ever be answered? Soothe My Soul presents Mars Venus with your host, Patrick O'Morris. Tune in live every Sunday at 2 o'clock p.m. from the iLive studios in Toronto at www.iliveradio.com or on your cell phone, mobile.ilive.com. Join us and participate in the conversation via Twitter at Patrick Morris or in the chat room at ilivewebradio.com.
This is John Browski. If I'm not snapping necks, cashing checks, wearing the large specs, I'm tuned into iLive Radio.
You're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio. iLive Radio.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's show. Hi, Naila.
Hey, Patrick. How are
Let's
you?
go. I'm okay.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good.
How's your week?
Pretty good.
Your hair
It
looks
felt really long.
Your hair
but-
looks good this week. It's shorter.
Thanks.
Again, it's like I try to keep up with.
Yeah.
You know, it's short. It's long. It's
It
short.
changes
it's long.
every week.
It's amazing.
Like you start
I keep
right
trying
away.
to. I keep trying to get her to hook me up, but
I'm glad you're wearing a hat today.
it's not
Thank
working.
you.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. This week, we're joined with Rob Korb. Rob is...
Ron.
Ron.
Ron Korb.
Sorry.
But it's funny because a lot of people make that mistake.
Yeah?
They take the B from the end of my name
and
they
put it
already-
on the
they
end of the
stick it-
first name?
There you go. I have to apologize. I am a serial name killer, so...
Yeah, he really is.
So
He called me by the wrong name for the longest time.
she didn't even correct me, but that was okay.
I did, but it didn't make a difference.
So, we're going to be talking a little bit about your journey. Ron is nominated this year. You're going to the Grammys this year.
That's
This
pretty
is a
cool.
big deal.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
We're going to learn a little bit about this whole Grammy thing because, I was going through the booklet there that, Naila, you have in your hands.
It's the Billboard Grammy voter guide.
Yeah, the Billboard.
official.
The official.
Yeah.
The official.
I feel really honored to touch this.
Yeah.
So the regular people, can like regular people buy that?
on newsstands in the States.
Oh, okay, but not in
Yeah.
Canada?
No, not in Canada. Billboard isn't sold in Canada anymore except by subscription.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised because I was in Billboard earlier this year and then I tried to find it and I went from store to store and they go, no, we don't carry it.
Oh,
So
that's.
But anyway,
I
yes.
didn't even know that.
they can buy it on newsstands in the States, but basically this particular issue is a special issue just for the voters of the
Okay.
Academy.
So, I was looking online, and Naila, you
Naila's
okay?
actually not okay.
I'm
She's
good.
You sure?
she's
Okay.
coughing to death.
We could pause, and let.
Yeah.
All right. Didn't want to highlight the fact that you're.
Show must go on.
Okay, good. So
She's on the floor now. Like,
you.
doctor, yeah, come on. Yeah, bring the medic in here.
It says that you're known by a few different names, like
That's right.
Dragon Flute.
And apparently Rob now, too.
Oh yeah, Rob's.
It's official.
You're known as Prince of Flutes and Thunder Blessing. How do these names?
Those are
come
all
up?
different countries, though. Like,
Yeah.
Thunder Blessing is for Taiwan.
Okay.
Because my Chinese name that the record company gave me was Lei and Kobo, so it kind of has the word thunder and blessing in there. In Japan, I had a couple albums released, and they called me the Prince of Flutes.
Okay.
And Dragon Flute is actually a new stage name that I use, well, not new, but relatively new, that I use in China. Because in Chinese, dragon is long like L-O-N,
Oh,
long.
okay, yeah.
So it's very similar to Ron.
Ah.
Ron, and then D means flute, so dragon flute.
Ah, gotcha.
And the two Chinese characters are really cool characters, and it's just immediately identifiable. So
Okay.
I really that's my favorite stage name. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, again, I was reading up, and it said that you started with playing the recorder.
That's right.
In
cool.
school. And I remember as a kid getting the recorder and was like, man, what's wrong with this thing? And then learned how to play like Mary Had a Little Lamb, and my kids came home and they figured out how to play it and stuff. But it after grade 3 or 4
it didn't
or something,
inspire
like
you.
that,
In other words,
it didn't.
It's a miracle I can whistle, much
Yeah.
less play a recorder. No,
See,
thanks.
that shows you I'm a lot less fussy than you.
But one of the things that was kind of intriguing for me with that is, you never know. You hear these kids and they go to school and teachers are like, you never know what's going to inspire a child to achieve greatness. And to most of us, we don't really even think about the recorder, something they give you in school. It costs you maybe, I don't know, $10 or something like
Right.
that. And most people don't even think about it.
Well,
I think we lost.
She's leaving us. Well,
Yeah, I think we lost
See,
her.
you start talking about recorder, and immediately
And then
like,
she
people
leaves.
just start. Yeah,
She's tuning out.
everybody at home is like going to the washroom or going out for a coffee.
It's the recorder. I'm back to the recorder.
Yeah.
It seems like a simple instrument that not a lot of people, really consider that it
Right.
might be something that really influences others.
Well-
but how did that influence
Well,
you?
in my case, I mean, I was just kind of music starved because I didn't have any musical instruments at home, and it was really the first musical instrument that just sort of came into my life. Therefore, you see now she's coming back.
Yeah, okay. So you're talking, so she came back because
Yeah.
you're talking. I think it was me.
Yeah, it just was like, to me, like any kind of instrument was like miraculous. So it was just the first one I got. I mean, if I had a guitar, I probably would start playing guitar or funky bass, like we were listening on these Brazilian quasi Earth, Wind and Fire tracks. But it was just really the first instrument that I was exposed to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so once you got started playing that,
Yeah.
where did the transition go from that to, the flute?
Well, I mean, it's a kind of a natural transition. I mean, really, I wanted to play flute from the get-go.
Ah.
But again, I wasn't in a musical family or anything, and I didn't even really have the idea of maybe even asking my parents. So I wasn't exposed to the flute until high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember trying.
This
to
is a very
play-
humble story, I'm realizing we're talking about the Grammys at the end of it, but it's really sounding like I'm coming from like poverty, like musical poverty anyway.
But that's most
okay.
most people who excel in their art, there's very few people that are Justin Bieber. They get discovered on YouTube
On
or something
YouTube?
like that, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're this larger than life character. That's such a minute percentage, and I think a lot of
Probably
kids.
become bigger.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of
Now.
kids these days they think YouTube is their way to fame,
Yeah.
right? Something like that. But then, you've had more than 30 albums
Yeah.
that you've done, so you've been in the game for a while.
Oh yeah, I've been in the game for a while.
And you're
Wow.
you're about to get you're getting this recognition. Not that you haven't been getting recognition, because reading some of the stuff, like you've played in some amazing places, and your journey to get there. A lot of people, like you think of the flute. A lot of people may not necessarily think about it. I remember trying to play that in like elementary school and almost passing out a few times because I couldn't get the
Yeah.
breathing
Yeah.
technique right. Forget it. I gave up. It's a complicated.
Maybe I should have too.
It's a
It's a good thing you didn't.
it's a complicated instrument to play.
Yeah.
But even with the Grammys itself, there are so many different genres.
That's right.
Like we were talking earlier, and there's a comedy album of the year type thing, and then you're nominated for best new age
Right.
album.
Yeah.
And new age? Are you new age?
Well, I mean, New Age is one of those categories that could mean a lot of things, right? I mean, if you look at the history of that New Age category, I mean, people like Peter Gabriel won the New Age category for Last Temptation of Christ. Pat Metheny, a couple of his albums. He won twice, actually, in NewAge. And again, Pat Metheny's clearly a jazz artist, and certainly Peter Gabriel's clearly a rock artist. And there's so many other examples of the same thing. It's just that New Age is one of those categories which it's sort of difficult to define,
Yeah.
right? I mean, of course, there's that sort of relaxation music, which is of course clearly new age. But then there's a lot of things that are like crossover music, especially things that use a little bit of world music or a little bit of Asian sound to them. This album could have easily been in the world music category as well. But the world music category, it's funny, like every category has what it's supposed to be about, and then it has what it's actually about.
Right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, like, for instance, world music, technically speaking, any instrumental world album should be able to win. But if you look at the history, it's every single winner is a singer, you know, or a singing group. And it's not that it's impossible to win as an instrumentalist, but I think it'd be very, very, very hard. I mean, that being said, I mean, if someone is just so famous, like for instance, Ravi Shankar won one year, and of course he is an instrumentalist, but I mean he played with the Beatles, right? Or he taught the Beatles how to play in the sitar. So I mean it's a little bit of a different story. And his daughter is nominated this year for the world music category,
very
Anushka
cool.
Shankar. But I think New Age is a good fit because especially like you know when I started, which I guess is like in the early '90s. Back then, instrumental music was almost always funneled into New Age, into the record stores, right? So I got known for that. So I was sort of kind of thinking it's a good place because on the one hand, there's people back then, you know, who know me and who are voting in that category. So, you know, and I think it did help. I mean, some people really go, wow, you know, I had your album, Japanese Mistress, and had some of these other albums, and I've always loved your music. So I think it helped me somewhat, but...
So you have trained in different so you know you did jazz, you did classical. It says you were in a band at one point, an Irish band when you
Well, I don't know what band they're referring to, but I've been in a bunch of different bands. Of course, I've had my own group, and you know, which was bass, drums, guitar, piano, flute. It was sort of we did a lot of more groovy, up tempo kind of stuff. But more again in that world music realm, right? But now I mean, of course, and then I even played in some rock bands, even singing backup, and maybe there's a chance there. And
see, if you put him on your album, Naila, then it's like instant
Shooting
cred.
to
You
the
could
top.
say,
Exactly.
That's true.
They won't even know
not a
you're
bad
singing
idea,
on the
actually.
album. It'll all be about him.
That's a really good idea.
You have
Yeah.
you have a Grammy
Look
artist
out, Ron.
on your album. Should do it.
You do it.
So
You're both closing in on me here. Too.
You're gonna do it.
So you yourself,
Yeah.
when you think of the music that you play in your head, do you see this classification that these outside people kind of say that you fit into?
No, you know what? I've been in the business so long that it just feels like any of these classifications are really just, they're okay. They're really just there to kind of guide people really to buying the music,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, it's like all the categories. I mean, even if you look at the urban categories, I mean, there's a lot of funniness there too sometimes,
Yeah.
right? It's just, how do you categorize music really? I mean, music, I think, almost is really just, what I kind of like to say my music is I like to say it's melodic world. Because it's very melody driven, and each of the songs is an actual song. You could actually take one of those songs and make it, sing it, and add lyrics to it, and rearrange it and make it into like even a pop tune.
Yeah.
But with a lot of world music, you can't. It's more like an improvisatory thing that just goes on, and great music, but it's a different type of thing. So I like to call myself melodic world, but that's just my own title, right?
Yeah.
Like in Asia, my music is referred to as Weimei, and Weimei just means absolute beauty. So the funny thing is with Weimei, a lot of things can fit into Weimei. Like for instance, Lang Lang, the classical pianist, fits into that too. Or like a really beautiful song like Andrea Bocelli or something, or even an R&B artist. But the way they define it is the way the song makes you feel.
Okay.
If it makes you feel like kind of like, wow, the world is great, this is beautiful, right? Because I mean, let's face it, a lot of music is very negative, right?
Yeah, that's an ongoing conversation we have at the station here with like all the DJs and
Yeah.
sometimes Naila, you know,
Sometimes.
is about the current state of the music industry.
Yeah.
Wherein almost any radio station you turn on, it seems to be that you're being funneled in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And a lot of the music is not a full representation of positivity or even substance. You know, when you pull out a lot of the whether it be profanity or the beat, and you try to listen to the music itself, you know, for that substance, you don't get that feeling. So it'd be very difficult for a lot of the current music today to sort of fall into that Waymay. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Waymay category.
Yeah.
Because the emotion, it doesn't trigger very much of it might be a nice beat or something, but it doesn't create that. And when you're making your music,
And by the way, like a lot of Stevie Wonder's music would fit into Waymay.
Yeah.
You know, that's, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like Ribbon in the Sky or a song like that.
Yeah. It's more from what you can correct me here, but it sounds like it's more about the emotional connection you have with that
That's
particular
right.
song.
Right.
It's sort of in the way you make you feel and the kind of, in a way, I guess, the headspace that you have. It's sort of funny because in Asia, like a lot of music is just not that popular, and you would think it would be. Like, for instance, even a band like U2. I used to be friends with a guy in a record company in Hong Kong, and he said, you'd be shocked at how few albums U2 sells in Hong Kong. I mean, like, you know, a huge album comes out, and yeah, maybe just sells 300, 400, or 500 copies in Hong Kong.
Wow.
Now, that's not to say if they came to play in Hong Kong, they would still fill the stadium, but that's just because they're so famous, everyone wants to come and check it out.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like that kind of what they would call noisy music. And, I mean, I love you too, personally, but they just find it a bit annoying, you know, or like heavy rock music, like, you know, they just find it sort of like, why would you listen to this? Like, their idea is life is tough, we're stressed out, we have to take buses, we have to live in these little like rabbit hutches of apartments, we have to fight every day at work and this and that. When we go to listen to music, why do we want to hear like something noise and also depressing lyrics, right? Because for them, they want to go to, let's say, if they actually go to a concert, they want to be uplifted. They want to sort of see like a spectacle. They want to sort of feel like, wow, the world is great. They want to be taken away from their problems at home.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas like a band like REM, when you listen to their music, it's more like they give you even more problems than you actually have, right? So, and
Yeah, there are a few artists that you walk away and you're like, I feel depressed now.
you know, and again, they're great music, great bands, but it's just the way our headspace is, or maybe even the way we've been brainwashed growing up, that, you know, depressing is cool and hip.
So what is it that inspires you to create that Waymay music? So that, what is it that's within you? Because, you know, a lot of people, dare I say it, there are a lot of musicians that are out there that it's about the bottom line.
Right.
You know, how many records am I going to sell?
Right.
And so they're not really they're focusing on the hype right now.
Yeah.
You know, and so there are a lot of people who are in the game today who will never have 30 albums.
Right.
But
So-
also, I think artists are also, we tend to be a little bit emotional. And so it's not always, we don't always feel like making beautiful music.
Yeah, well, that's true too. You know what? That's a great question, and I don't even know how to answer it because, I mean, in a lot of ways, I would just love to be an alternative rock artist and never have to explain all these things, right? Because it's just like, you know, if I came in here and I had like this really depressing song about, you know, wanting to commit suicide because of this or bullying at school, you wouldn't even question it, right?
No, it would be a
Because you
counseling session.
Yeah, you know, but
We would be having
feel
an
that way?
intervention.
but it is sort of like, yeah, why do you want to write beautiful music? I don't know. I'm just kind of drawn to it somehow, or I guess it's just what comes out, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we all kind of write what we get in a sense. And I don't know. I don't really know why, but it does have a market in Asia particularly. And people, like I say, they look to things. So like even a song like, let's say, it's not like for instance, if they say they like Led Zeppelin, what they really mean is they like Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
Because that song has a bit of it has a
Gotcha.
beautiful melody and everything, and they don't mind the rocking out part, but they just don't want to have music that in the end they feel either angry or depressed.
Yeah.
They want to feel uplifted. I mean, and that's going too far. I'm not saying uplifted in the way a gospel song is supposed to uplift you.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
I
You just want
understand.
to feel good when you listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just want to feel good, and you want to kind of escape from your
Right.
your regular problems. I mean, my wife is actually from Taiwan, and she says the reason why the music is so negative or so a lot of angry things or this and that, and certainly very sort of using distortion and very kind of heavy, is because Canada is so peaceful. and so peaceful, and no
interesting
one
theory.
has any problems at all. So they have to listen to the music, rock and roll, to kind of get that feeling. But she predicts, as Canada, like especially Toronto, you see now, like with all the apartments right by the Gardner and stuff,
Yeah.
and we're getting more and more congested.
I never understand that. I was driving on the Gardner,
Yeah.
and the highway split, and there was a condo in the middle of the highway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was just like, why?
Yeah, but Asia's been like
That's
that for years. Like even when I was in Asia in the '90s, it already had that. And I remember like Canadian people come, wow, how can people live like this? And how this is crazy and blah blah blah. Well, now we have the same thing, and it's just getting worse. We feel like every day there's a new mushroom
Yeah.
condo that pops up. So as we get more and more congestion, and more stress that comes with that congestion, that kind of Waymay stuff is going to get more popular. Even if secretly it's going to get more popular, because it actually does have quite a bit of popularity. It's just all secret. It's just people listening at home, people listening to internet radio stations, downloading and stuff. It's just, but it's never talked about in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And I don't blame them either. I rather talk about, Taylor Swift and that stuff anyway.
So you've played for the Pope, or you did an album with the Pope.
I did an album
With
for
the-
the Pope.
for the Pope,
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
Me and the Pope were like just hanging
You guys
out,
are
right?
best buddies.
Yeah. He came up with some beats,
Yeah.
and so
Actually, this Pope is pretty cool, so
yeah,
that wouldn't even
yeah.
be surprising.
Yeah, it was an album for the Pope, but it was really, it was connected to the whole thing. It wasn't like just like we decide to make an album for what the Dalai Lama or something, and he doesn't know anything about it. Yeah.
How did what was
that
that? What was
even
that
happen?
process? Yeah,
you know
did you
what?
get your phone ring and they're like,
My phone rang, yeah.
we want you to create an
Actually,
album.
that's what happened.
something
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the Pope,
It did- I mean, I guess like for flute and world music and that kind of stuff, I'm sort of known in Toronto. I've done a lot of session work, so there's not that many people who do it. So my name just comes up, sometimes.
So we're gonna
Not
play,
all the time, but sometimes.
We're gonna play something from one of your albums. Before we do that, though, I guess when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about how received you are, I guess, within Canada, within North America,
Okay.
compared to within the rest of the world.
Right.
Because there are a lot of people who feel that they have to leave Canada in order to have the success, or some people say no, you have to stay here and get the success and then go. There's a lot of school of thought in and around that. So Jason, have you got something queued up there?
Put on Shadow Puppets.
So this is Shadow Puppet.
Yeah, it's from the album Behind the Mask.
Thank
Welcome back.
Nice.
So that was kind of,
I really like that.
you really like that one?
Yeah, that was fun.
You're going to sing something over it?
No,
No?
I'm just gonna dance.
It's got a
Just
little
gonna
bit
dance,
of a
yeah.
little bit of a
Kind of
calypso
reminds
sort of.
me of
feel.
Caribbean like music from Virgin Islands,
Virgin, huh?
St. Croix.
And you're from St. Kitts, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love St. Kitts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my wife and I, we went a few years ago.
Did you hop over to Nevis?
Yeah, we did actually.
That's
Beautiful.
where I grew up.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful.
And thank God she's here now.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm easing your listeners in, man. I'm easing them in. Give them a little bit of drum and bass, you know.
So before we some drum and bass. So before we took the break, we said we wanted to talk a little bit about the industry,
Right.
and because you've played at the Smithsonian, if I can say that
That's right.
correctly, in
your
Edinburgh,
time, Patrick.
England,
Yep.
Taiwan, Shanghai,
China.
Beijing, China, Japan, like
Yeah.
all over the
Everywhere.
place, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what is the industry like here in Canada? Like this album you said was recorded here.
All my albums are recorded here.
Okay.
Well, actually, that's not true. My Japanese Mysteries album was actually recorded in Japan, but I lived in Japan at that time, so that was the reason for that. Well, I mean, you mentioned sort of like about living and working in Canada or moving to the States or this sort of thing, which a
Yeah.
lot of people say. I mean, there's really advantages to both.
Right.
Seriously. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, yeah, I'm not accepted here, and then, I'm going to move to the States, and they go to the States, and they're not accepted there. Accepted there either.
They're in no man's land. I
You
don't know
know,
where to go.
The
They can go to
great-
Nevis.
Yeah, Nevis
You
is
can always
nice.
go to Nevis.
Yeah. Have you been to the Four Seasons at the
Yeah.
Nevis? Like, yeah, wow, what a beautiful place.
My mom worked there when I was young, so I spent quite a bit of time on the resort.
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful. Anyway, what I was going to say is the beauty of working in your own, like where you're from, is of course you have so many friends and you know what's going on, and you can kind of build up your network kind of organically. I think there's nothing wrong with like trying to make it in Canada, especially nowadays because so much online stuff is it doesn't really matter where you live.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can also collaborate with people online now too, right? It's not just
That's
even
true.
Yeah.
making the music. Like if you wanted to get whatever, a trumpet player from wherever, from Germany or Mexico or something, you can just send them some tracks. They do their thing and send it back to you.
Yep.
So I think the physical location of where you are is becoming less and less important. But again, there are advantages to moving to a place, but it should be a place that you really have a strong sense of belonging. I don't think you should just go move to New York if you don't really particularly like New York and you don't really have any sort of friends there or the scene there is not really like there virtually no advantage for me to move to New York. I mean, there's nothing there for me.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, again, if you were in a certain type of pocket
Right.
where you really could kind of go, wow, like, I mean, if you're like a hip hop artist or
Yeah.
a rap artist or something, I could certainly see that. And just being around the scene and the clubs and just getting that in all the time. But I mean, I've known a lot of people who've moved to New York and not really done anything and eventually end up moving back. And I just don't know. I think it is really an individual decision, and sometimes it can work out great. And there are some people, they're kind of basically shunned here, and then they go to Germany or someplace, and they make a huge career. And
David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff, or Saga. Or
He's big in Germany. Come on.
Yeah.
Lots of albums.
Yeah. So I mean, I think, like I said, I think there's arguments on both sides, but you can. I think one thing is if people are sort of feeling like, hey, geez, I'm not making it here, or no one understands it. Moving to another place isn't necessarily going to solve that,
Right.
And like I said, more because today we have the internet, we have Facebook, we have all this social media. There's a lot you can do through the internet now, And like I said, it virtually doesn't matter anymore where you are physically.
Would you say you're more received outside of Canada? Or
Yeah,
within Canada?
I probably am. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but that doesn't. I mean, I love Canada and I love living here, so that's part of what keeps me here. And I have family here, and I don't really want to move away. of course, my wife and I really have this dream of like living in Europe for a year, or living in, maybe moving back to Taiwan for a couple of years, right? Because they have a lot of popularity there. I mean, definitely in a place like Taiwan, I could be doing a lot, like, pretty big concerts almost every week.
Wow.
Right. But, I mean, it's still a price that you pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things I love about living in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't really regret that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Grammys. And
Yeah, let's talk
so
about that.
when you your latest album,
Yeah. This one here.
Asia Beauty.
yes, Asia Beauty. When it was, how do they notify you?
Well, they actually made the announcement December 7th on CBS.
Okay.
And
So did you know
So-
before that? Or
no,
is
no,
that
you
when
don't.
that's when you find out.
Yeah, and it's the same with the actual award. I'm not going to find out what the result is. I don't even want to
Until
say.
the
I don't even want to jinx it by saying if I win. But
We won't.
Oh, I just did jinx it because of that. But no, I mean, you're just sitting there
Yeah.
in the actual hall, and then they're going to announce the name.
Right.
Like
Oh,
the-
so they invite everybody to
the nomination.
To the nomination.
yeah, all the
process?
5 nominees, right? Every category pretty much has 5 nominees.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
You're here. You get a letter or a phone call, or your agent reaches out to you and says you got to go to this meeting with CBS.
No, it's broadcast on CBS.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so as soon as they announce your name, your phone just lights up. Your internet, like I was saying in another interview, I was actually interviewed on that day. I mean, you don't have to like go looking. Oh, did I win? Did I win? Or did I get nominated? Either you heard
find
nothing,
you.
which means you didn't, or like I said, everyone who you've ever known in your entire life will start contacting you and congratulating you.
Did you have any kind of indication ahead of time that maybe they might be looking at you?
You know what? In a way, yes, but I think a lot of people probably felt that way who didn't get nominated.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
And I mean,
Everybody that put an album out was like, my phone's not ringing.
I know I'm gonna get nominated. Yeah,
I know there's a mistake in there somewhere.
yeah. Someone must have. You know what? They nominated Rob instead of Rob.
Exactly.
You know.
Good one.
You know.
Somebody's having a Steve Harvey moment. They should be
Yeah.
calling me.
Yes, poor Steve Harvey.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man.
So, okay, so
In fact, I wish Steve Harvey would be the announcer for my award because if you got it
People wouldn't be
wrong,
Sure.
yeah, and if you got it wrong, at least you walk up there and at least you get to walk up there.
that's
Even-
true.
And then you have the videotape and
What a wonderful view.
And it's,
yeah,
it's a lot of exposure.
it's a lot of exposure.
You know.
And then it'll be So it's exactly like the Academy Awards. Nobody knows who's going to win until they announce.
But what was the feeling like when you found out?
It really was. Like I said, we all kind of, and this is the thing I think about all artists. Like if you submit to the Junos, you kind of feel like you're going to win or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We all have that kind of ego or something, and we all think our thing is good. But I was really trying to just go, not put any investment in it. I mean, some people I've seen put so much investment in it, and then when they lose or when they don't get recognized, they're just so heartbroken. You know,
Yeah.
and you can sort of see that, it's so, it just like, it's a huge deal, but don't anything can
Don't lose
happen.
sleep over it.
And, and honestly, there were a lot of things that didn't get nominated, which I was shocked at. Like, for instance, Sting, he did a musical theater thing called The Last Ship.
Mm-hmm.
It was in Broadway, and he was, he was on Kimmel, and he was on The Tonight Show playing stuff from it, and it was like, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And he
It's
was
Sting. Come on.
Sting, and he's in the musical theater category, and I mean, certainly in terms of name recognition, he was the biggest thing in there.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, for sure he's got to get nominated or even win, right? Didn't even get nominated,
Wow.
And you kind of think, wow, it really is like the way the Academy works, and the Academy is made of all these professional music makers, like producers, engineers, singers, artists, musicians, and they vote very differently than the way fans would vote.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think people never really understand. They always think, the Grammys, it's disappointing, this and this and this. Well, maybe they didn't listen to all of the albums. And maybe when you actually listen to the albums, you realize this is actually better.
Yeah.
Well, how
Maybe,
do you
right?
how do you even get considered?
Well, the way you get considered is you someone has to submit your album.
Okay.
Yeah. It
And
could
is
be
usually the record label that submits
usually
it?
the record label, yeah. It could be, I mean, obviously if you become a voting member like myself, I mean, I could submit you, for instance,
Right.
next year.
Okay.
You know?
So
Go
you
ahead and do that.
how did you become a voting member?
You have to have a track- you have to have a-
apply and
Yeah,
say, I've
yeah.
got 30 albums. Come on.
It was actually my wife's idea.
Yeah.
I never would have bothered, honestly. And you know how some people say, "Oh, it's always been my dream to win a Grammy." It's never been my dream to win. Of course, I'm very, very happy about it.
Right.
I'm ecstatic about it. But it's almost like too big a dream. I never would have even gone for it.
Gotcha.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
right? So it's. She said, "You know what? Why don't we just get you set up as a voting member in the Grammys?" And she did all the work for that. And you do actually have to have like kind of a track record
Right.
of something. You can't be like someone who's just done like one album, or just you have to sort of show that you have some credentials,
Gotcha.
right? And so that's what I did, and or that's what she did, and then we got the approval, and there's you pay your membership, and then you're a member. And there are some members, by the way, who aren't even voting members. They're just sort of like junior members, and because they still don't have enough credits,
Oh.
right? Good artists too, but they're not actually
Just haven't
voting
been
members.
in the game long enough.
No, yeah.
Okay. So the judging process then are people who, like you said, who have a track record in
Yeah.
the industry,
Yeah.
and they're looking. I'm assuming that they're looking at the, I guess the technicality of the album, of how things are put together.
They're looking at everything. I mean, they're looking at, again, what I like about the Grammys is that because this year actually, or for this album, I don't normally like submit for many awards, but this year I kind of thought, I'm just going to submit for everything. So there are all these like little awards in the States that I submitted to, and a lot of them I won or got nominated.
Yeah, I noticed,
Yeah.
like in my little search with you here,
Yeah.
that you've won a lot of awards.
Yeah, and the Global Music Award in San Diego, they not only awarded me like a gold medal, but then they even awarded me Best of Show. So that's over all the different,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
like the R&B, heavy metal, classical and stuff, Best of Show. So, I mean, that helped. I would say that.
So you've got like a trophy case at home.
No, it's not. Well, it's not the trophy case, but since all those awards were this year, I think that actually did help my chances for the Grammy for sure. Because the Academy, even though those awards are nowhere near that kind of status, but nevertheless, it kind of created like a little momentum
Yeah.
with
Mhm.
it,
Yeah.
And people thought, "Well, what is this album?" And then I see it here, and I see it there, and so it just sort of started to pick up steam.
See, what you need to do is you need to take a photo standing in front of your trophy case,
Okay.
so that the people can see your credibility right there.
Patrick has all these ideas.
And then you say, "This is why you buy my album." This is why.
I would never vote for a
No
guy who has
way.
like a trophy
Exactly.
case.
Why would you even- Like, he doesn't need another one. He obviously has enough.
Yeah. So anyway, so I think that like all those things sort of kind of contribute to it, and it gives you confidence for sure. Yeah, definitely gives you confidence, and in some ways, like winning the Global Music Award was even more like overwhelming because I just didn't expect that at all, right? And that's just like a completely like that's more of a committee thing.
Yeah.
It's a committee that decides, whereas this is like this massive membership, like
Yeah.
15,000 people,
Wow.
all in the industry
Yeah.
voting, right?
So, as a voting member,
Mhm.
do you vote in every category or just the one
You just no,
that you're like classified?
no. You vote in. You're allowed to vote in 20 categories.
20.
Well,
okay.
you're allowed to vote in the first 4 categories, which are album of the year, single of the year, etc. Those 4, and then you have another 20. So basically, 24 categories.
Wow.
Which sounds like a lot, but it's actually not that much, because when you start voting and listening, because they have it all up on their website, so you can listen to every song in every category.
Wow.
So
That's going to take a while.
and that's what you're supposed. Yeah, and that's what you're supposed to do. So in other words, like for instance, what's your personal interest in music? Like what categories would you want to vote in?
No, that's a good question.
Well, what about you, Nyla?
Gospel, reggae, pop.
What's pop? Like really, what's pop?
Well,
I think
Taylor
those
Swift.
Are the first 3 that come to mind.
Ed Sheeran, yeah. Okay, so let's just say
I love him.
yeah, he's great.
He's awesome.
Yeah, I actually voted for him.
Patrick doesn't know who Ed Sheeran is. You did it.
I did, yeah.
Good
Did you
vote.
vote for yourself? Can you do that? Are you allowed to
You
vote for yourself?
can vote for yourself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then start taking people out to steak dinners and get them to vote for you too.
Yeah.
Drum up some votes.
Well, you want to know one thing that anyway, don't get off. But no, everything's already been voted for. It's already a done deal. I'm not lobbying for any votes. Okay.
No, not you. I just
Oh yeah.
in
Okay.
general.
No, like the voting has closed. The voting closed. I think what date was it? January 15th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so now all the votes go to the accountant firm,
Yeah.
Deloitte, and they do all the tabulation. So
These
the way
Deloitte guys are like into everything, eh?
yeah.
So
So
I need to be working for.
so same with the
work for
Academy
them.
Awards, right?
Yeah.
So again, according to like the mythology, even the Grammy people don't even know who's going to win, because Deloitte tabulates it all.
And then locks it up.
Yeah,
You need to find a hookup at Deloitte.
yeah. Honestly, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have thought of that.
Now, I always hear about these grab bags that people get
Swag
at,
bags, yeah.
at these awards ceremonies.
Uh-huh.
You gotta come back and tell us what's in the grab bags.
Yeah. Well, I know years and years ago, there were these companies that would actually proposition you, and this is way before I had anything to do with any of these things. But like for the Academy Awards, if you want to get your album stuck in the swag bag for the Academy Awards, and they charge you to put. So number one, you have to have your product ready. So maybe like, I don't know, 1,000 copies, and which you have to pay for. And then on top of it, they'll charge
pay
you
them.
$5,000 or something.
Wow.
But it'll be in the swag bag, supposedly, of the ones of the Grammy Academy members. So in that case the Academy Award members, like the film awards.
Yeah.
If they really do that, who knows? And is it really the swag bag for the actual award ceremony? Is it a swag bag for some little party
Like
that
a
they're
little
doing?
party, yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. But there is actually like people who have businesses like that.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. So yeah. I'll let you know what's in the swag bag.
Yeah, there you go.
Definitely.
That's a business, eh? I
Yeah,
create
you can be in the
swag
industry
bags
without
for
even putting out a song. Look at you.
exactly.
Yeah.
For
So-
your album release party, I'm charging you to create your swag bag.
So just getting back to Nyla, right? So you're into reggae. So you would go right to that section. You'd see like there'd be like
The 5.
but in the first ballot there'd be hundreds.
Oh, right. 'cause
Right?
You have to select who you think
Yeah.
should be
So the first
nominated.
ballot there'd be hundreds, and you go, oh, I know him, and I know him, and I know him, and him, and you go in to the website, you'd start listening to all this stuff, and you kind of go, well, I like him, but I don't really like this album. So, and you make those sort of balanced choices, right?
So in each category, there are hundreds of people
Yeah.
to be reviewed.
Even thousands in some cases. Yeah.
And so a voting member, their responsibility is, if they're going to vote on a category release, they should be listening to everything that is in that particular category.
Yeah.
And then picking the top 5.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of
huge
work.
Responsibility.
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. In fact, some people spend weeks and weeks filling
You
out
have
their
to.
ballots. Yeah. But it's an enjoyable process because you get to listen to all this new music, a lot of great stuff, and it's some people love it and some people take it extremely seriously. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who don't. Some people just go, whatever, right?
Oh, I've heard this guy before. Check.
Yeah.
I've heard this guy before. Check.
And so you have to pay the Academy to
Have the privilege.
have
of
the
listening to
privilege
all of that.
Yeah.
of listening to all of these songs
Yeah.
Yeah.
and becoming
I would so do that.
Yeah?
Oh,
I'm just thinking by the end of it, you everything would probably start to blur after a while. If
no,
after
you do it in chunks.
the 15,000
You
songs.
can't do it all at once.
Yeah, you can't do it all at once.
You do it in chunks.
You just do it. Yeah, exactly. You just maybe look at one category and you kind of gravitate to a few things. And again, the human beings, we're all sort of frail creatures. We have our likes, dislikes. We're all very subjective. But what I like about the Grammys is because there's such a huge number of voters, it evens it out.
Yeah.
Right. So you have people take it really seriously. Have people who don't take it seriously at all. But it all averages out. And you have people who just go for name recognition.
Yeah.
Right.
But you see in the case of Sting, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Like King and I and some of these other like albums got nominated. And maybe they were actually better albums if you actually listened to it, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? So, and then after the nominations come, then the Billboard sends you this, and then you can sort of see the 5 nominees, and they have little write-ups about them. And you'll notice the write-ups are very, like they're not going, oh, this album is the greatest thing. They're kind of just sort of describing it in a more neutral way.
Okay.
And what's happening with their career in a more neutral way. So,
So you can't get any hints whether or not you won from what they wrote.
not really. Like I feel that when I'm at the actual Grammys, I can kind of envision any of the other nominees' names being called.
Yeah.
Right.
I can envision my own too, but I can, if any other person gets called, I'm not going to be surprised. It's not like I'm going to go, oh my God.
That's how it should be, though.
Yeah, I think it's very even, and again, it's so secretive, and no one really knows who's voting and what. I mean, it's just like an election.
Yeah.
It's very similar to like an election. You don't really know. I mean, you can kind of feel that certain people are getting a kind of momentum, but there are people who I thought for sure would be nominated. Perhaps I would have bet money on it, didn't get nominated. And it's not more so that than people who did got nominated. I'm surprised. It's but there's just some other people I thought really deserved or really I expected to see in there and they didn't. Yeah.
I know with the Grammys, not every award is shown on TV.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right. Is yours? Do you know if yours?
No, it is. It's the way it works is that this is all insider information, man.
This is great.
This is great. Eh? There's actually
Take notes, Naila.
Yeah.
okay. Unlike the Junos, where they actually have the awards like classical and blues and all those things on a different day, the Grammys does everything in the same day.
Okay.
Okay, and the red carpet is the same. The Microsoft Theater is directly across the street from the Staples Center.
Okay.
So the first awards are done, what they call the Premier Awards, actually, at 12:30 in the Microsoft Theater, which is still a massive, massive place.
Yeah.
And so they do all that presentation there, and then after that ends around 3:00, and then people start arriving to go to the telecast, which starts at 5:00. But you have to be in your seats by 4:45.
Yeah.
Because they want everybody there when the telecast starts. You can't walk in afterwards, right? So that's when the more glitzy, more focused telecast, or even the red carpet coverage happens.
So the people at the Premier Awards, do they just like kind of cross the street to go to the telecast one?
Just cross the street, and then after the awards are over, then you cross the street again and you go to the convention center where the after party is. Yeah.
So you're going to the televised?
I'm going to all
You're going
three.
to everything?
Yeah.
The
You have
after
your
party,
tux
everything?
ready?
Who are you wearing?
Who are you wearing on the red carpet?
Actually, you know what? I'm wearing something I designed myself.
Oh,
This thing here. This.
oh, that's fun. I
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, I'm thinking, should I wear a tux?
You got to hold up to the camera.
I want to see you in
You
something
want
like
to see?
that.
Yeah.
I wore something similar to that. I went to. It was that Indian wedding I went to.
That's cool. I like the color.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually had it made in Shanghai.
That's a pop.
Nice.
And I bought the fabric in Thailand.
Nice.
It's a Thai silk. So everyone keeps saying, wear that, man. I'm looking at the red carpet like the last year, and I'm saying, like, God, everyone wears a tux, man.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, I'm just going to stand out so much.
That's
Will
not
I
a bad
feel?
thing, though.
Will I feel like yeah? It's not a bad thing, but anyway, so far that's what I'm planning to wear. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So this
And
journey.
everyone says cool. Like no one says no, man. Like you
No,
better
I
wear.
think
it.
that's
Yeah,
really
you gotta
cool.
you gotta
I
be
think
you,
that's
man.
cool.
You gotta be you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just
gotta
be
be you.
yourself.
Yeah.
You know, just don't be like Pharrell in that hat thing
And the shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
his shorts. Yeah, that's a different kind of self.
Yeah. He's just being himself.
You should try that hat.
So this journey that you've been on since you started playing the recorder and now you know you're being recognized in this huge form by so many of your peers. You know,
And this is the other thing. It's not like I'm just getting recognized by people in that category. I mean, rap people are reaching out to me. People in the pop world, they're saying like, "Man, we listened to your album on the website. It was like the bomb, and
That's
can't wait to
awesome.
meet you and stuff." So it really just has ramifications like way beyond
Yeah.
anything that I've ever experienced.
completely across the board.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I can just imagine. You know, we started off and you were saying, you know, the recorder made it sound like you're from this humble beginning.
Yeah. Didn't even have an instrument.
You didn't have an instrument, you know, and you had to work on the lowly recorder. But again, from what I was saying before, is that we don't know. You know, somebody looking at you today and saying, you know, wow, you go there and you're a part of this amazing opportunity to be recognized by your peers, by so many different people in the industry. Some people look at it and think, oh wow, this guy's lucky, but it's been a lot of work for you.
It's been a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, I do feel that some people do recognize, like they actually go, wow, man, and even like the product, like it's like this book, and they kind of, I think that did help my chances as well. They just kind of think, wow, this guy's been in it a long time and really deserves something. Maybe. Again, I don't know. Right?
You don't, yeah,
You have
can
no
only
idea.
speculate.
Like, you can only speculate, but I just think that probably helped. I mean, some people, you know, you do hear from some people, you know, who congratulate you, right? And they kind of say things like that. So you think, well, maybe that has something to do with it. But again, you never know.
You never know.
But ultimately, the music speaks for itself.
Yeah.
We've got only a couple minutes left.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Time is
Wow.
Time flies.
Oh my God.
I do want to ask you though, for
play
you know,
anything from here.
what would you say to, you know, what would you have said to yourself as that kid with the recorder, if you had the opportunity to say something to yourself?
I would have said, tell your parents you want a guitar for Christmas. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Or you want a piano or something. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, man, I don't even know what
We should end with a song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna end with a song.
I have no idea which one to play. Okay, you know what? Let's play the first one, Hanoi Cafe.
Hanoi
Hanoi,
Cafe.
as in Hanoi,
Asia
Vietnam.
Beauty.
And we're going to close out with that song. I definitely want to thank you for being with
my-
us on the show and spending the time with us, sharing your journey.
Yeah.
I do hope that, you know, as people walk away, that they get to know a little bit better and they'll be looking out for you on the red carpet.
Yeah.
Congrats, Ron.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Best internet radio station around. iLife Radio, the new social network.
Emily King, and you're listening to iLive Radio.
Rare groove, revival, slow jams, upfront, old school.
The best music around in stereo sound.
Music. Music back to back to back. iLive Radio.
How you doing? What's good? It's Nkechi the Lyrical, sitting in my zone here, vibing and listening to iLive. And if you don't know, get to know. And if you do know, you don't know. And if you know, then relax and enjoy the ride.
You're listening to iLive Radio. This is Jay Most. Enjoy.
Online and on the go on your mobile phone. We're the internet's best choice.
Vibes and Vinyl is here every Friday live at 8 p.m. on iLiveRadio.com. Formerly of Toronto's FM radio airwaves, DJs Gene King and Ray Prasad are in the house once again to continue their tradition, promoting great house music to the world. You will hear exclusive releases and sometimes traveling back in time via some of the best disco, soul, funk, and house. So keep it locked and enjoy the ride. DJs Gene King and Ray Prasad have provided their listeners since 1996. Vibes and Vinyl in your face.
This is John Browski. If I'm not snapping necks, cashing checks, wearing the large specs, I'm tuned into iLive Radio.
I bet you never heard nothing like this before. But guess what?
You gonna learn today. You gonna learn today. All right. You're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio. iLive Radio.
The Soul Expressions Show with DJ Sessions. The Soul Expressions Show with DJ Sessions. Your love tastes so delicious, sweet as honey from a bee. I hunger for your body, 'cause that's what satisfies me. So delicious, you make me come alive, yeah. So delicious, I feel so good. Girl, you tell me, oh yeah, so delicious. Hey, love feels so good. Yes, it feels good to me. Yes, it feels good to me. Your love tastes so delicious. It tempts my appetite, yeah. You fill me up with fever.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Making love all through the night.
Welcome to Soul Expressions.
So delicious. Your lips taste candy sweet, baby. So delicious. Good enough to
Streaming around the World Wide Web. Don't forget you can catch the Patrick Morris Show each and every Sunday right here. 2 p.m. till 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're tuned to Soul Expressions. 2 hours of great soul music played on vinyl. On vinyl only. Don't forget, spread the word, share the link.
you set my soul on fire. Yes, it feels good to me. You set my soul on fire. Yes, it feels good to me. You set my soul on fire. Yes, it feels good to me. You set my soul on fire. 'Cause your love is so delicious. Your touch is so tender, baby. So delicious. Give me that sweet surrender. So delicious. We're loving when we're making love. So
stick, a stone. It's the end of the road. It's the rest of a stump. It's a little alone. It's a sliver of glass.